Hello YouTube, my name is Living Lucy, and in the previous couple of videos, I played through chapters 1 and 2 of Deltarune. Now, like every young gamer in 2015, I was obsessed with Undertale, the story of Frisk, a child who's fallen down into a world of monsters where they must decide to kill, spare, or get to know them while they make their way out of the underground. And although it's been 8 whole years since the sequel to Undertale, Deltarune, came out, I never played it before now. And I'm hoping you haven't either. The reason I've hoped you haven't played it yet is because this video is a review of my experience playing chapters 1 and 2 of Deltarune. Is it worth it? Should you play it? Should you give up 5 to 11 hours of your life downloading a free game on Steam and playing it? That's what I'm going to be answering for you today. So strap in, grab some popcorn, and I'm going to be giving you a nice in-depth explanation on why I think you should play this game. Deltarune Chapter 1 follows the human child of Toriel and Asgore, Chris, in the world of light, so it's kind of like the overworld. Chris is sent to school where they meet a monster named Susie, and they both are tasked to go to the supply closet to refill some chalk. They end up going to the supply closet and falling down into a massive dark world. Now that you kind of know a little bit about the game and the intro to Chapter 1, I am going to be ranking Deltarune on 4 different categories. First is time invested, second is difficulty and fighting style, third is visuals and audio, and fourth is storyline and character development. Also, fair warning, like any sequel, I'm going to be a bit biased to the original game because obviously I'm blinded by nostalgia and so many different things. I will be comparing Deltarune to Undertale quite a bit in this video. Category 1, time invested. So in total, I spent about 7 hours and 20 minutes playing through chapters 1 and 2. Chapter 1 took roughly 2 hours and 20 minutes to complete, and that leaves the majority of the time spent in chapter 2, which took around 5 hours. For comparison, a neutral Undertale run usually takes the average person around 6 to 8 hours to complete. During my playthrough of Deltarune, I explored and died a fair bit, which obviously added time. However, if I explored everything, it would have easily taken me another hour or two. I had a pretty average playthrough, I think. I also never felt like I was wasting any time. You know, as a person who loves to skip the story and dialogue of games and usually only picks up games like Cuphead that are like pure boss fights, this game was really fun. Most dialogue feels very important to the story and it'll make you laugh. I feel like the pacing was just right, and at no point did I feel like they were dragging anything out way too long. I think if you're the type of person who loves story games, I think Deltarune is absolutely perfect for you. Deltarune is also an amazing bang for your buck. A run of Undertale and a run of chapters 1 and 2 of Deltarune are roughly the same amount of time, and they both roughly have the same amount of content. Undertale currently is $9.99 in the Steam store, and chapters 1 and 2 of Deltarune are genuinely free. And although the next 2 chapters are $24.99 on the Steam store, chapters 1 and 2 do a really good job of hooking the player in so that they'll want to play more. And that is why I'm going to be giving Deltarune 5 out of 5 hearts for time invested versus money spent. Category 2, difficulty and fighting style. The fighting style is like an upgraded version of Undertale. You move your heart around a box and dodge enemies' attacks. The difference between Undertale and Deltarune fighting styles is that Deltarune adds battles with multiple characters at once, as well as magic. Magic attacks are added for the other characters and can either assist in doing damage or pacifying/sparing the entity that you're fighting. I really enjoyed this fighting style because it allows for more leeway, as you can revive a character whose health bar has dropped below 0 and continue playing and fighting, while in Undertale or individual battles, if your health bar drops past 0, you just die and have to restart from your last save point. But I will say, while it does allow for more leeway and damage, having to make decisions for multiple characters and hit the attack bar all at once can be a bit tricky if you're only used to playing individually. The beautiful thing that I think Deltarune did was to have the fighting style stay close to the beloved style from Undertale while making enough changes to make the distinction that it's a different game. I think Deltarune eases you into fighting, so no fight difficulty feels out of place. So far, Deltarune's difficulty is equal to Undertale minus a couple of really challenging fights in Undertale, like Sans. I would say that the fighting levels are pretty similar, so that's going to take my ranking to about 5 out of 5. For its difficulty and fighting style. I think Deltarune has a lot to bring to the table for fighting style and difficulty. So far, it's not been that difficult for me. Of course, I died quite a bit. But yeah. Category 3, visuals and audio. Just like its predecessor, Deltarune gives us not only intricate and visually appealing character designs, but also sprawling landscapes that we get to explore. I personally love the character designs for all the main characters, and I think their looks match their personalities quite well. There's a good visual contrast between the light world and the dark world that we're exploring, and it adds depth to the visual story that Toby is trying to tell as well. While Undertale is trapped in the underground, Deltarune has an opportunity to show more locations, which gives visual diversity in my opinion. Obviously, there's a lot of different places in Undertale, but Deltarune gives us a lot more options. From a musical perspective, Deltarune is decent. You know, I'm biased quite a bit when I'm talking about music because I think Undertale has one of, if not the best game soundtracks of all time. Do I think that Deltarune lived up to that? I mean, sadly not. I think as a standalone game, the music does really hold up well, but I do think that musically it's extremely hard to live up to Undertale, and I think that's a common critique of Deltarune, and that's how I feel too. I think that the music is good, but I think Undertale's music is just very spectacular. It's hard to live up to it. That's not to say that I don't have, some of the Deltarune songs on my playlist. Of course I do. They have some great bangers, some great hits. I just think that it's really hard to live up to Undertale. Obviously, I haven't played chapters 3 and 4, so maybe it'll live up to Undertale in those chapters, but we'll see. With that said, I did think something that the audio department was doing really well was the sound effects and voices, and I think that the sound effects are on par with Undertale completely. Deltarune and Undertale both have extremely unique sound effects, and I think that that's just the creative genius of Toby Fox and all the creators of both games. I will be ranking Deltarune's visuals and audio 4 out of 5 hearts because I think in the visual department, Deltarune is not lacking at all. It's stunning visuals, but I think that the music could use a tiny bit more work to be on par with Undertale, but it's still a wonderful soundtrack. And finally, category 4, storyline and character development. The storyline of Deltarune is honestly brilliant. It takes the charm, humor, and emotion that people love from Undertale and reshapes it into something that feels familiar yet unpredictable enough to keep you coming back for more. Unlike Undertale, where your choices directly affect the world, Deltarune leans into the idea that your choices don't matter, or at least that's what the game claims. This is a tension between what you want to do and what the game allows you to do, which I think creates an extremely compelling narrative hook and separates Deltarune from Undertale. I think the characters are where Deltarune really shines. Chris, Susie, and Rousey form a trio that has the perfect balance of character types. Susie, by far, has the most character development I've seen in any character in Deltarune. She starts off as a classic bully stereotype, but as you travel through the dark worlds together, you see her soften, open up, and genuinely become a funny and compelling character, which is kind of crazy because at first she was kind of annoying to me. They did a really good job of, in a short amount of time, having organic character development. Obviously, the bully turned nice stereotype is a common trope, but I do think Deltarune did it really well and with a lot of care and showing Susie as a three-dimensional character, even though it's all in 2D. I also love what they did with the main character, Chris. The game constantly reminds you that you aren't really in control of Chris. It really adds a layer of unease that Undertale never had. Also the side characters are very memorable and well written, while still being quirky and fun. They add a lightheartedness to the game that reflects the original spirit of Undertale. The characters in Undertale are one of the most beloved parts of the game, and I think Deltarune totally followed that. I also think the pacing of Deltarune is really strong. Chapter 1 sets up the foundation, it introduces the mechanics, it gives you a taste of the world, and then Chapter 2 expands everything. It gives you bigger areas, more emotional stakes, and a much clearer sense that something actually is wrong beneath the surface. The ending of Chapter 2 especially left me with more questions than answers, which is kind of forcing me to scrape up the $24.99 for the other 2 chapters, because it's really leaving you on a huge cliffhanger, and I can't wait to see what's next. So to wrap it up, I think that Deltarune's story is its strongest element, and that's why I'm going to be giving the story a 5 out of 5 hearts. After playing through chapters 1 and 2 of Deltarune, would I say it's worth it? Absolutely. I think Deltarune managed to capture the charm of Undertale without really copying it. It's in the same world, but it still feels like a completely different story from the original. But sometimes I gotta be real with you. Can Deltarune be corny? Of course it can be corny. If you've played Undertale, you know it's corny by today's standards, but you gotta give it a chance. I mean, Undertale was made in 2015, Deltarune was made in 2018, and it's made by the same creator. I don't know what you expect from a game made in 2018 to be not corny, but it's charming, and I think it's funny, and I think if you go in with the right attitude, the jokes are funny, just give it a chance. I think the gameplay is really smooth, I think the characters are really lovable, and I think the story has so much potential with chapters 3 and 4 that I haven't played yet, and, the 5th and 6th chapters that should be coming at some point. Yeah, so I would say if you love story-driven games, but also don't mind a bit of fighting, I think Deltarune's the perfect game for you. In total, I'm giving Deltarune chapters 1 and 2 19 out of 20 hearts, an insanely high rating. I loved this game. I think it's super fun, super charming, and I think you should play it too. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button if you liked this video. Turn on the bell for notifications, and if you felt like you don't really want to play this game, maybe you don't like gaming that much, maybe you're too lazy and busy, I have the perfect solution for you. Previously, I played chapters 1 and 2 of Deltarune, and it's posted to this channel. So if you want to see me play through it, go ahead and click those videos down below. It's a fun time. We have fun together, playing through it. Catch you guys next time. Lucy out.